Picture this, a creature so fearsome, its very presence sends shivers down the spines of gods and mortals alike. 3 heads, each more menacing than the last, a serpent for a tail, and a mane of writhing snakes. This is Cerberus, the legendary guardian of the underworld, standing watch at the gates of the dead, ensuring no soul escapes and no living being dares to enter. But what if I told you that this monstrous hound, often seen as a symbol of terror, holds secrets and stories that go far beyond his role as a gatekeeper? Stories that reveal a creature as complex as the myths that surround him. Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy realm of ancient mythology to uncover 30 fascinating myths about Cerberus. From his mysterious origins to his unexpected vulnerabilities, from his role in epic tales of heroes to his surprising connections to rituals and beliefs about the afterlife, we'll explore it all. Why does a 3-headed dog capture our imagination so vividly? What do these myths tell us about how ancient cultures viewed life, death, and the boundaries between them? By the end of this video, you'll not only know the myths but also understand the deeper meanings behind them. You'll see Cerberus not just as a monster, but as a symbol, a guardian, and even a reflection of our own fears and curiosities about the unknown. So, if you're ready to step into the underworld and uncover the secrets of its most famous guardian, let's begin this journey together. Trust me, by the time we're done, you'll never look at Cerberus or the myths surrounding him the same way again. Now that we've set the stage, let's step back to where it all began, the origins of Cerberus himself. To understand this fearsome guardian, we need to look at his family tree, and what a family it is. Cerberus was born to TYPHON and ECHIDNA, 2 of the most terrifying figures in Greek mythology. TYPHON, often described as a storm giant with 100 dragon heads, was the embodiment of chaos and destruction. ECHIDNA, his mate, was a half-woman, half-serpent creature known as the mother of all monsters. Together, they created a brood of legendary beasts, and Cerberus was one of their most infamous offspring. But Cerberus wasn't alone in his monstrous lineage. He had siblings who were equally terrifying, including the Hydra, a multi-headed serpent that could regrow its heads, and the Chimera, a fire-breathing hybrid of lion, goat, and serpent. Even the Sphinx, known for her deadly riddles, was part of this fearsome family. This lineage wasn't just about creating monsters for the sake of it. It reflected the ancient Greeks' understanding of the world. To them, chaos and the unknown were forces to be reckoned with, and creatures like Cerberus symbolized the dangers lurking beyond the boundaries of the known world. Cerberus's 3 heads, serpent tail, and mane of snakes weren't just random features. They were deliberate symbols of his role as a guardian of the underworld, a place that represented the ultimate unknown. His monstrous appearance served as a warning to anyone who dared to cross into the realm of the dead, but it also hinted at something deeper, the idea that even in chaos there is order. Cerberus wasn't just a mindless beast, he was a keeper of balance, ensuring that the living and the dead stayed in their rightful places. So, when we think about Cerberus's origins, we're not just looking at the birth of a monster. We're seeing how ancient myths used these creatures to explore complex ideas about the world, the unknown, and the boundaries that define life and death. And with that in mind, let's move forward to uncover more about this legendary hound and the myths that surround him. Now that we've explored Cerberus's origins, let's turn our attention to one of his most striking features, his 3 heads. This iconic trait isn't just for show. It's steeped in deep symbolism that reflects the ancient Greeks' understanding of time, life, and the cosmos. Many myths suggest that Cerberus's 3 heads represent the past, present, and future, symbolizing his role as a guardian who oversees the passage of time itself. Others interpret the heads as representing the 3 stages of life: birth, life, and death. This duality of meaning highlights how Cerberus wasn't just a physical barrier between the living and the dead, he was also a symbolic one, embodying the cyclical nature of existence. But Cerberus's three heads aren't the only version of this myth. In some stories, he's depicted with even more heads, sometimes as many as 50 or 100. These variations often appear in regional myths or later interpretations, where storytellers amplified his monstrous nature to make him even more intimidating. And let's not forget his serpent tail or the snakes that sometimes make up his mane. These serpentine features add another layer of symbolism, often associated with danger, transformation, and the underworld. Together, these elements paint a picture of a creature who isn't just guarding the gates of the underworld, he's embodying the very essence of what lies beyond. Interestingly, the number 3 itself holds significant meaning in many cultures, often representing balance, harmony, and completeness. For Cerberus, this could mean that his 3 heads aren't just about division, they're about unity. They remind us that life, death, and the passage of time are all interconnected, and that crossing into the underworld isn't just a physical journey, it's a symbolic one. So, whether you see Cerberus's 3 heads as a representation of time, life stages, or something even more profound, one thing is clear: this feature isn't just a random detail. It's a key part of what makes Cerberus such a fascinating and enduring figure in mythology. And with that in mind, let's continue our journey into the myths surrounding this legendary guardian. Now, let's dive into one of the most legendary encounters in Greek mythology, the story of Heracles and Cerberus. This tale is part of Heracles' famous 12 labors, a series of near-impossible tasks he had to complete as penance for a terrible crime. The 12th and final labor was perhaps the most daunting of all. Heracles was ordered to descend into the underworld and bring back Cerberus, the fearsome guardian of the gates, alive. To even reach the underworld, Heracles had to undergo a perilous journey, facing dangers that would have stopped most mortals in their tracks. He had to navigate the dark, winding paths that led to Hades' realm, confront the spirits of the dead, and even negotiate with Hades himself for permission to take Cerberus. This wasn't just a test of strength, it was a test of courage, wit, and determination. When Heracles finally stood before Cerberus, the challenge was far from over. The 3-headed hound was no ordinary beast. His ferocious bark alone was said to strike terror into the hearts of mortals, and his serpent tail and mane of snakes added to his monstrous appearance. But Heracles, armed with nothing but his lion skin cloak and his bare hands, managed to subdue Cerberus without killing him. Some versions of the myth say he used his immense strength to wrestle the beast into submission, while others suggest he used cunning, perhaps even luring Cerberus with food or soothing him with music. This labor wasn't just about proving Heracles' might, it was also a testament to Cerberus's fearsome reputation. The fact that capturing him alive was considered the ultimate challenge speaks volumes about how the ancient Greeks viewed this guardian of the underworld. Cerberus wasn't just a symbol of death, he was a force of nature, a creature so powerful that even the greatest hero of Greek mythology had to push himself to the limit to overcome him. What's fascinating about this myth is how it highlights the duality of Cerberus's role. On one hand, he's a terrifying monster, a being so dangerous that even gods and heroes tread carefully around him. On the other hand, he's a loyal servant, bound by duty to protect the gates of the underworld. This balance between ferocity and loyalty makes Cerberus one of the most compelling figures in mythology. By the end of his labor, Heracles succeeded in bringing Cerberus to the surface, showing him to King Eurystheus before returning him to the underworld unharmed. This act not only completed Heracles' penance but also reinforced Cerberus' status as an untouchable guardian, a creature who could be temporarily subdued but never truly defeated. This myth leaves us with a powerful image of Cerberus not just as a monster, but as a symbol of the boundary between life and death, a reminder of the challenges that lie beyond the mortal world. And as we move forward, we'll see how this encounter is just one of many that cement Cerberus's place in the pantheon of mythological legends. Now, shifting our focus to the heart of Cerberus's purpose, we arrive at his most defining role, the guardian of the underworld. This three-headed hound wasn't just a fearsome creature to admire from afar. He had a critical job to do. Cerberus stood at the gates of the underworld, ensuring that no living soul could enter and no dead soul could escape. This duty made him the ultimate gatekeeper, a living barrier between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Think of Cerberus as the ancient equivalent of a security system, but one with teeth, claws, and a bark that could send shivers down your spine. His presence at the gates wasn't just about intimidation, it was about maintaining order. In Greek mythology, the boundary between life and death was sacred, and crossing it without permission was a violation of the natural order. Cerberus's role was to enforce this boundary, making sure that the rules of the cosmos were upheld. This responsibility wasn't just practical, it was deeply symbolic. Cerberus represented the finality of death, the point of no return. His three heads, often interpreted as symbols of the past, present, and future, reinforced this idea. He wasn't just guarding a physical gate, he was guarding the transition from one state of existence to another. For the ancient Greeks, death wasn't just an end, it was a journey, and Cerberus was the gatekeeper who ensured that journey was one way. Interestingly, Cerberus's role also highlights the ancient Greeks' complex relationship with death. While he was a terrifying figure, his presence wasn't purely malevolent. He wasn't there to harm the dead but to protect the integrity of the underworld. In a way, Cerberus was a necessary force, a reminder that death, while inevitable, was also a realm with its own rules and order. This duality is what makes Cerberus such a fascinating figure. He's both a monster and a protector, a symbol of fear and a guardian of balance. His role at the gates of the underworld isn't just about keeping people out, it's about preserving the natural order of life and death. And as we'll see in the next myth, this balance is something that even the greatest heroes had to respect when venturing into the realm of the dead. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most poignant and musical myths involving Cerberus, the tale of Orpheus and his quest to retrieve his beloved Eurydice from the underworld. This story not only showcases Cerberus's fearsome nature, but also reveals a surprising vulnerability to beauty and art, adding a layer of complexity to his character. Orpheus, the legendary musician, was known for his ability to charm anyone and anything with his lyre. When his wife, Eurydice, tragically died and descended into the underworld, Orpheus was determined to bring her back. Armed with nothing but his music, he ventured into the realm of the dead, where he encountered Cerberus at the gates. Here's where the myth takes a fascinating turn. Instead of trying to fight or outsmart the three-headed guardian, Orpheus did something no one else had dared to attempt. He played his lyre. The music was so enchanting, so utterly captivating, that even Cerberus, the fearsome gatekeeper, was moved. The Hound, known for his ferocity and unwavering loyalty to Hades, lay down peacefully, allowing Orpheus to pass. This moment is significant because it shows Cerberus in a new light. While he is often portrayed as an unstoppable force of terror, this myth reveals that even he is not immune to the power of beauty and art. It's a reminder that beneath the monstrous exterior lies a creature capable of being swayed by something as pure and universal as music. But the story doesn't end there. Orpheus's journey through the underworld is a testament to the lengths one might go for love, and Cerberus's reaction underscores the duality of his nature. He is both a fearsome guardian and a being who can appreciate the transcendent power of art. This duality makes him more than just a monster. It makes him a symbol of the balance between chaos and harmony, fear and beauty. Interestingly, this myth also highlights the ancient Greeks' belief in the transformative power of music. Orpheus's ability to charm Cerberus isn't just a plot device. It's a reflection of the idea that music could bridge the gap between the living and the dead, the mortal and the divine. Cerberus, in this context, becomes a gatekeeper not just of the underworld but of the boundaries between different realms of existence. As we move forward, this myth sets the stage for exploring how Cerberus interacts with other figures in mythology, each encounter revealing a new facet of his character. But for now, the story of Orpheus reminds us that even the most fearsome guardians have their softer side, and that beauty, in its many forms, has the power to transcend even the darkest of realms. Now, let's shift our focus to a lesser-known but equally intriguing aspect of Cerberus's diet. What does a three-headed guardian of the underworld eat to sustain his fearsome presence? The myths surrounding Cerberus's diet offer a fascinating glimpse into ancient beliefs about the afterlife and the nature of the soul. One of the most common tales suggests that Cerberus consumes the souls of the unworthy. According to this myth, those who failed to live virtuous lives or committed grave sins would face a grim fate upon entering the underworld. Instead of being granted passage, their souls would become sustenance for the Hound, a punishment that underscored the importance of morality in ancient Greek culture. This idea reflects the belief that the afterlife was not just a place of rest but also a realm of judgment, where one's actions in life determined their fate in death. But not all myths paint Cerberus as a devourer of souls. Another intriguing story claims that the dead would bring honey cakes as offerings to appease the guardian. These cakes, often associated with rituals and sacrifices, were believed to calm Cerberus and ensure safe passage into the underworld. This practice highlights the ancient Greeks' belief in the power of offerings and the importance of maintaining harmony with the divine, even in death. The contrast between these two myths, one depicting Cerberus as a punisher and the other as a guardian who could be placated, reveals the duality of his role. On one hand, he is a fearsome enforcer of divine justice, consuming those who fail to meet the moral standards of the living world. On the other, he is a gatekeeper who can be influenced by the actions of the dead, suggesting that even in the afterlife there is room for negotiation and respect. These stories also shed light on the ancient Greeks' views of the afterlife as a place of balance and order. The idea that Cerberus could be both a destroyer and a protector reflects the belief that the underworld was not a chaotic realm but one governed by rules and rituals. The honey cakes, in particular, symbolize the connection between the living and the dead, serving as a reminder that the actions of the living could influence the fate of those who had passed on. As we delve deeper into the myths of Cerberus, his diet serves as a powerful metaphor for the ancient understanding of life, death, and the moral responsibilities that bridge the two. Whether consuming the souls of the unworthy or accepting offerings from the dead, Cerberus embodies the delicate balance between punishment and mercy, chaos and order that defined the ancient Greek conception of the afterlife. This exploration of Cerberus's diet not only enriches our understanding of his character, but also provides a window into the values and beliefs of the ancient world. As we move forward, we'll continue to uncover how these myths reflect the complexities of human nature and the enduring fascination with the mysteries of life and death. Now, let's turn our attention to a fascinating myth that highlights Cerberus's role as a guardian who can be swayed by clever tactics, the story of the Sibyl of Cumae. This tale not only showcases the ingenuity of the Sibyl, but also deepens our understanding of the rituals and symbolism tied to Cerberus and the underworld. The Sibyl of Cumae, a prophetess known for her wisdom and connection to the divine, once sought to enter the underworld. Her mission was to guide the hero Aeneas through the realm of the dead, as recounted in Virgil's epic, the Aeneid. But to do so, she needed to get past Cerberus, the formidable guardian of the gates. Knowing the Hound's reputation, the Sibyl came prepared with a clever solution, a honey cake. According to the myth, the Sibyl tossed the honey cake to Cerberus as a distraction. The sweet offering lured the three-headed beast, allowing her and Aeneas to slip past unnoticed. This act of using food to placate Cerberus mirrors earlier myths about honey cakes being used to appease the guardian, but here it takes on a more strategic dimension. The Sibyl's use of the cake wasn't just about offering respect or seeking favor. It was a calculated move to outsmart the Hound and achieve her goal. This myth carries rich symbolism, particularly in its connection to ancient rituals. The honey cake itself was a common offering in Greek and Roman religious practices, often used in ceremonies to honor the gods or the dead. By using it to distract Cerberus, the Sibyl tapped into a well-established tradition, blending practicality with spiritual significance. The act of offering food to the guardian also reflects the belief that even the most fearsome beings could be influenced through ritual and respect. Moreover, the Sibyl's success in bypassing Cerberus underscores the idea that the underworld, while a place of strict boundaries, was not entirely impenetrable. It suggests that with the right knowledge and tools, even the living could navigate its challenges. This theme of cleverness triumphing over brute force is a recurring motif in mythology, highlighting the value of wisdom and resourcefulness. The story of the Sibyl and Cerberus also serves as a reminder of the interconnectedness of life and death in ancient belief systems. The honey cake, a symbol of life and sustenance, becomes a bridge between the living and the dead, allowing the Sibyl to fulfill her role as a guide. This act reinforces the idea that the underworld was not a place of absolute separation, but one where the living could interact with the dead, provided they followed the proper rituals and protocols. As we explore this myth, it becomes clear that Cerberus's role extends beyond mere intimidation. He is a gatekeeper who enforces the rules of the underworld but can also be influenced by those who understand its customs. The Sibyl's use of the honey cake is a testament to the power of ritual and the importance of respecting the boundaries between worlds, even as one seeks to navigate them. This tale not only enriches our understanding of Cerberus, but also offers a glimpse into the ancient world's complex relationship with death, ritual, and the divine. As we continue our journey through the myths of Cerberus, we'll uncover even more layers of meaning behind this legendary guardian and the stories that surround him. Now, let's shift our focus to one of the most striking aspects of Cerberus's appearance. Across myths and artistic depictions, Cerberus is described as a creature of terrifying and awe-inspiring features, each detail designed to emphasize his role as a monstrous guardian of the underworld. The most iconic feature of Cerberus is, of course, his three heads. These heads are often interpreted as symbols of his all-seeing, all-knowing nature, representing the past, present, and future. Some myths even suggest that each head has its own distinct personality, adding layers of complexity to his character. In certain versions of the myth, Cerberus is said to have as many as 50 heads, though the three-headed version remains the most widely recognized. But Cerberus's heads are just the beginning. His body is often depicted as covered in a thick, shaggy mane of snakes, writhing and hissing as if alive. These snakes are not just decorative, they serve as a constant reminder of his connection to chaos and danger. In some accounts, his tail is also a serpent, adding another layer of menace to his already fearsome appearance. This serpentine tail is sometimes described as venomous, capable of delivering a deadly strike to anyone who dares to challenge him. The combination of these features, multiple heads, a mane of snakes, and a serpent tail, creates an image of a creature that is both otherworldly and deeply unsettling. These elements are not random, they are carefully crafted to evoke fear and respect, reinforcing Cerberus's role as the ultimate guardian of the underworld. His appearance is a visual representation of the boundary between life and death, a reminder that the realm he protects is not meant for the living. Interestingly, the descriptions of Cerberus's appearance vary slightly depending on the source. In some Greek myths, he is portrayed as a more dog-like creature, with only subtle hints of his monstrous nature. In Roman interpretations, however, his features are often exaggerated, emphasizing his role as a symbol of terror and the unknown. These variations reflect the cultural differences in how the ancient Greeks and Romans viewed the underworld and its guardian. What remains consistent across all depictions is the sense of awe and dread that Cerberus inspires. His appearance is not just meant to intimidate, it's meant to convey the gravity of his role. He is not merely a guard dog, he is a living embodiment of the fears and mysteries surrounding death and the afterlife. Every detail of his form serves to remind us of the power and danger that lie beyond the gates he protects. As we continue to explore the myths of Cerberus, his appearance will remain a central theme, offering insights into how ancient cultures conceptualized the boundary between life and death. Next, we'll delve into another fascinating aspect of his story, his encounter with Aeneas and how it reflects Roman interpretations of this legendary guardian. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most dramatic encounters in Roman mythology, Aeneas's meeting with Cerberus during his journey to the underworld. This story, immortalized in Virgil's epic poem, the Aeneid, offers a fascinating glimpse into how the Romans interpreted Cerberus and his role as the guardian of the underworld. As Aeneas descends into the realm of the dead, guided by the Sibyl of Cumae, he comes face to face with Cerberus, the fearsome three-headed hound. The scene is vividly described, with Cerberus snarling and his serpent tail lashing out, ready to strike. But instead of engaging in a battle, the Sibyl uses a clever trick to subdue the beast. She throws him a drugged honey cake, a detail that echoes earlier myths about Cerberus's weakness for food. This act not only calms Cerberus but also allows Aeneas to pass safely into the underworld. This encounter highlights a key difference between Greek and Roman interpretations of Cerberus. While Greek myths often emphasize his terrifying nature and the physical challenges of overcoming him, Roman myths, as seen in the Aeneid, focus more on the cleverness and resourcefulness required to navigate the dangers of the underworld. The use of the honey cake reflects a Roman appreciation for strategy and wit, qualities that were highly valued in their culture. Moreover, Aeneas's journey itself is deeply symbolic. As a hero destined to found Rome, his descent into the underworld represents a confrontation with the unknown and a test of his resolve. Cerberus, in this context, serves as a gatekeeper not just of the underworld but of the trials that Aeneas must overcome to fulfill his destiny. This adds a layer of meaning to Cerberus's role, transforming him from a mere guardian into a symbol of the challenges that must be faced on the path to greatness. The Roman interpretation of Cerberus also reflects their broader worldview. For the Romans, the underworld was not just a place of fear and punishment, but also a realm of mystery and potential. Cerberus, with his monstrous appearance and formidable presence, embodies the duality of the underworld, both a barrier and a passage. His encounter with Aeneas underscores the idea that even the most terrifying obstacles can be overcome with courage and ingenuity. This myth also reinforces the idea of Cerberus as a figure of transition. Just as he stands at the boundary between life and death, Aeneas's encounter with him marks a pivotal moment in his journey, a transition from the mortal world to the realm of the dead and back again. This theme of crossing thresholds is central to Roman mythology, and Cerberus plays a crucial role in embodying it. As we move forward, we'll explore how Cerberus's vulnerabilities, such as his susceptibility to music and food, add depth to his character and reveal surprising aspects of his role in the myth. But for now, Aeneas's encounter with Cerberus stands as a powerful example of how Roman mythology reimagined this legendary guardian, blending fear with strategy and symbolism. Now, let's shift our focus to a fascinating aspect of Cerberus that often gets overlooked: his vulnerabilities. Despite his fearsome reputation as the guardian of the underworld, Cerberus isn't without his weaknesses. In fact, several myths suggest that this monstrous hound can be subdued, not by brute force but by more subtle means like music or food. One of the most well-known stories involves Orpheus, the legendary musician, who used his enchanting melodies to lull Cerberus into a deep sleep. As Orpheus descended into the underworld to retrieve his beloved Eurydice, he faced the daunting task of getting past the three-headed guardian. Instead of fighting, Orpheus played his lyre, and the soothing music calmed Cerberus, allowing him to pass unharmed. This myth not only highlights Cerberus's susceptibility to music, but also adds a layer of complexity to his character. It shows that even the most terrifying creatures can be moved by beauty and art, making him seem less like a mindless beast and more like a being capable of being influenced by emotions. Another recurring theme in myths about Cerberus is his weakness for food. We've already seen how the Sibyl of Cumae used a drugged honey cake to distract him during Aeneas's journey, but this isn't the only instance. In some versions of the myth, Cerberus is said to be particularly fond of honey cakes, which were often used as offerings to appease him. This detail is intriguing because it suggests that Cerberus, despite his role as a fearsome guardian, has a more relatable, almost mundane side. After all, who doesn't have a favorite treat? These vulnerabilities serve an important purpose in the myths. By showing that Cerberus can be calmed or distracted, the stories humanize him, making him more than just a symbol of terror. He becomes a creature with desires and weaknesses, much like the mortals who encounter him. This duality, being both a fearsome guardian and a being with flaws, adds depth to his character and makes him more compelling. Moreover, these myths reflect a broader theme in ancient storytelling, the idea that even the most powerful beings have their limits. Whether it's through music, food, or other means, the heroes who face Cerberus often find ways to outsmart him rather than overpower him. This emphasis on wit and strategy over brute strength is a recurring motif in mythology, and it underscores the value of intelligence and resourcefulness in overcoming challenges. As we continue to explore the myths surrounding Cerberus, these vulnerabilities remind us that even the most terrifying figures have their softer sides. They challenge us to see beyond the surface and consider the complexities of characters who might otherwise be dismissed as mere monsters. Next, we'll delve into the connection between Cerberus and the Eleusinian Mysteries, a secretive religious cult that revered the cycle of life and death. But for now, Cerberus's weaknesses offer a fascinating glimpse into how ancient myths balanced fear with relatability, creating a guardian who is as intriguing as he is intimidating. Now, let's turn our attention to a lesser-known but deeply symbolic aspect of Cerberus, his connection to the Eleusinian Mysteries. This ancient religious cult, centered around the worship of Demeter and Persephone, held secretive rituals that celebrated the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Cerberus, as the guardian of the underworld, played a significant role in these mysteries, embodying the very themes the cult sought to explore. The Eleusinian Mysteries were among the most sacred and closely guarded traditions of ancient Greece. At their core, these rituals revolved around the myth of Persephone's abduction by Hades and her eventual return to the surface world, symbolizing the changing seasons and the eternal cycle of life and death. Cerberus, as Hades' loyal guardian, was intrinsically tied to this narrative. His presence at the gates of the underworld served as a reminder of the boundary between the living and the dead, a boundary that the initiates of the mysteries sought to understand and transcend. In the context of the Eleusinian Mysteries, Cerberus wasn't just a fearsome gatekeeper. He was a symbol of transformation. The initiates believed that by confronting the mysteries of death, they could achieve a deeper understanding of life. Cerberus, with his 3 heads and serpentine features, represented the chaos and uncertainty of the afterlife, but also the potential for renewal. His role in the myths mirrored the journey of the initiates, who underwent symbolic deaths and rebirths as part of their spiritual transformation. Interestingly, some interpretations suggest that Cerberus's presence in the mysteries was not just symbolic but also practical. During certain rituals, participants may have invoked Cerberus as a guide or protector, ensuring safe passage through the spiritual trials they faced. This duality, being both a fearsome guardian and a guide, further underscores his complex role in ancient belief systems. The connection between Cerberus and the Eleusinian mysteries also highlights the ancient Greeks' fascination with the balance between life and death. Cerberus, as a creature who straddled both realms, embodied this balance perfectly. His three heads could be seen as representing the past, present, and future, or the stages of life, death, and rebirth. In this way, he became a powerful symbol of the eternal cycle that the mysteries sought to honor and understand. By exploring Cerberus's role in the Eleusinian mysteries, we gain a deeper appreciation for how ancient cultures used mythology to grapple with profound questions about existence. Cerberus wasn't just a monster to be feared, he was a figure who encapsulated the mysteries of life and death, making him an essential part of one of the most important religious traditions of the ancient world. Next, we'll examine how Cerberus has been depicted in ancient art, from pottery to sculptures, and what these representations reveal about how people viewed the underworld and its guardian. But for now, the Eleusinian mysteries remind us that Cerberus was more than a fearsome hound. He was a symbol of the profound and timeless cycles that define our world. Moving from the spiritual significance of Cerberus in the Eleusinian mysteries, let's now explore how this legendary guardian was brought to life through ancient art. Across pottery, sculptures, and other artistic mediums, Cerberus became a vivid symbol of the underworld, capturing the imagination of ancient Greeks and offering us a window into their beliefs and fears. One of the most striking depictions of Cerberus can be found on ancient Greek pottery. Vases and amphorae often featured scenes from mythology, and Cerberus was a frequent subject, especially in illustrations of Heracles' 12th labor. In these images, Cerberus is typically shown with his three heads, a serpent tail, and sometimes even a mane of snakes, emphasizing his monstrous nature. These artistic choices weren't just about aesthetics, they reflected the cultural perception of Cerberus as a terrifying yet awe-inspiring figure. The intricate details, like the sharp teeth and menacing eyes, were designed to evoke fear and respect, reminding viewers of the power and mystery of the underworld. Sculptures also played a significant role in bringing Cerberus to life. In some ancient temples and public spaces, statues of Cerberus stood as guardians, symbolizing protection and the boundary between life and death. These sculptures often depicted him in a crouched or alert position, as if ready to spring into action at any moment. The three heads, a recurring feature, were not just a nod to his mythological description, but also a way to convey his all-seeing, all-knowing nature. This artistic choice reinforced the idea that Cerberus was an ever-watchful sentinel, ensuring that no one could escape the underworld's grasp. Interestingly, the way Cerberus was portrayed in art varied depending on the region and time period. In some depictions, he appears more dog-like with a slightly less intimidating demeanor, while in others, he is shown as a full-blown monster, bristling with serpents and radiating menace. These variations suggest that while the core image of Cerberus remained consistent, artists felt free to interpret his appearance in ways that resonated with their local audiences. This flexibility highlights how deeply embedded Cerberus was in the cultural imagination, adapting to different artistic styles while retaining his essential role as the underworld's guardian. Beyond pottery and sculptures, Cerberus also appeared in mosaics and frescoes, often in scenes depicting the underworld or the exploits of heroes like Heracles and Orpheus. These artworks served not only as decorative pieces but also as storytelling tools, helping to preserve and transmit myths across generations. By studying these depictions, we can see how ancient Greeks used art to explore complex ideas about death, the afterlife, and the boundaries between worlds. The artistic representations of Cerberus also reveal how ancient cultures viewed the underworld itself. The dark, foreboding imagery often associated with Cerberus mirrored the fears and uncertainties people felt about what lay beyond death. At the same time, the meticulous craftsmanship and attention to detail in these artworks suggest a sense of reverence for the mysteries of the afterlife. Cerberus, as both a fearsome guardian and a symbol of the unknown, embodied these dual emotions, making him a compelling subject for artists and viewers alike. As we move forward, we'll delve into Cerberus's connection to the river Styx, the legendary boundary between the living and the dead. But for now, the art of ancient Greece reminds us that Cerberus was more than just a myth. He was a powerful visual symbol, capturing the imagination of an entire civilization and leaving a lasting legacy that continues to fascinate us today. Now, let's wade into the murky waters of the river Styx, where Cerberus's role as the underworld's guardian takes on even deeper significance. The river Styx, often described as the boundary between the world of the living and the realm of the dead, plays a crucial part in many myths, and Cerberus is frequently depicted as its vigilant sentinel. This connection between the three-headed hound and the legendary river isn't just a random detail, it's a powerful symbol of his duty to maintain the natural order, ensuring that the living cannot enter the underworld and the dead cannot escape. In many myths, the river Styx is portrayed as a dark, swirling expanse, its waters both a physical and spiritual barrier. Cerberus is often shown stationed near its banks, his three heads scanning the horizon for any intruders or escapees. This imagery reinforces his role as a gatekeeper, a being tasked with enforcing the boundaries between life and death. The river itself is said to be so treacherous that even the gods feared to break oaths sworn upon it, and crossing it required the assistance of Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Cerberus's presence near the Styx adds another layer of protection, ensuring that only those who belong in the underworld can pass. One of the most fascinating aspects of this connection is how it highlights Cerberus's dual nature. On one hand, he is a fearsome, almost monstrous figure, embodying the terror of death and the unknown. On the other, he is a necessary guardian, maintaining the balance between worlds. The river Styx, with its dark, foreboding waters, mirrors this duality. It is both a barrier and a passage, a place of endings and new beginnings. Cerberus, standing watch over it, becomes a living symbol of this paradox, reminding us that death is not just an end but a transition. Interestingly, some myths suggest that Cerberus's connection to the river Styx goes beyond mere symbolism. In certain stories, it's said that the hound's very presence near the river helps to keep its waters calm, preventing the souls of the dead from being swept away or lost. This idea adds a layer of complexity to Cerberus's role, portraying him not just as a passive guardian but as an active force maintaining the stability of the underworld. It's a reminder that even in the realm of the dead, there is an order to be upheld, and Cerberus is the one who ensures it. The river Styx also serves as a backdrop for some of the most dramatic moments in mythology involving Cerberus. For example, when Heracles descends into the underworld to capture Cerberus as part of his 12th labor, the river becomes a key part of the journey. Heracles must first cross the Styx, facing its dangers and earning Charon's reluctant cooperation before he can even approach the fearsome Hound. This sequence underscores the river's role as a threshold, a place where heroes are tested and the boundaries between worlds are most clearly defined. As we reflect on Cerberus's connection to the river Styx, it's clear that this mythic pairing is more than just a geographical detail. It's a powerful metaphor for the boundaries that define life and death, order and chaos. Cerberus, standing at the edge of the Styx, embodies the tension between these forces, reminding us of the delicate balance that holds the universe together. Next, we'll turn our attention to another chilling aspect of Cerberus's legend, his terrifying bark, said to be so fearsome it could drive mortals to madness. But for now, the river Styx stands as a testament to Cerberus's enduring role as the ultimate gatekeeper, a figure who guards not just the underworld but the very line between existence and oblivion. Now, let's shift our focus to one of the most spine-chilling aspects of Cerberus's legend, his bark. Imagine standing at the gates of the underworld, the air thick with dread, when suddenly a sound pierces the silence. It's not just any sound, but the bone-rattling bark of Cerberus, a noise so horrifying it's said to drive mortals to madness. This isn't just a detail added for dramatic effect, it's a key part of what makes Cerberus such a fearsome figure in mythology. The myths surrounding Cerberus's bark paint a vivid picture of its power. In many stories, his bark is described as a cacophony of sounds, each head emitting a different tone that combines into a symphony of terror. Some accounts even suggest that the bark carries a supernatural quality, capable of shaking the very foundations of the underworld and striking fear into the hearts of gods and mortals alike. This isn't just a warning to intruders, it's a weapon in its own right, a sonic force that reinforces Cerberus's role as the ultimate guardian. What makes this detail so fascinating is how it amplifies Cerberus's already monstrous reputation. He's not just a three-headed hound with a serpent tail and a mane of snakes, he's a creature whose very voice can shatter the sanity of those who hear it. This adds a psychological dimension to his role as a guardian. It's not just about physical strength or ferocity, it's about the sheer terror he inspires. The bark becomes a symbol of the overwhelming fear that death and the unknown can evoke, reminding us that Cerberus isn't just guarding the gates of the underworld, he's guarding the boundary between reason and madness. Interestingly, some myths suggest that Cerberus's bark isn't just a tool of intimidation, it's also a form of communication. In certain stories, his bark is said to alert Hades or other denizens of the underworld to the presence of intruders, acting as a kind of alarm system for the realm of the dead. This adds another layer to his role, showing that he's not just a passive guardian but an active participant in maintaining the order of the underworld. His bark becomes a call to action, a signal that the boundaries between worlds are being tested. The psychological impact of Cerberus's bark also ties into broader themes in mythology about the power of sound and voice. From the sirens whose songs lured sailors to their doom to the furies whose shrieks could drive men to despair, sound has long been used as a symbol of both allure and terror in ancient stories. Cerberus's bark fits neatly into this tradition, serving as a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones we can't see but only hear. As we reflect on this aspect of Cerberus's myth, it's clear that his bark is more than just a detail, it's a crucial part of what makes him such an iconic figure. It's a reminder that fear isn't always about what we see. Sometimes it's about what we hear, what we feel, and what we imagine. Cerberus, with his earth-shaking bark, embodies this primal terror, standing as a living warning to all who dare to approach the gates of the underworld. Next, we'll explore another intriguing aspect of Cerberus's story, his relationship with the Furies, the avenging spirits of the underworld. But for now, let the echo of his bark linger, a haunting reminder of the power and fear that Cerberus represents. Now, let's turn our attention to another fascinating layer of Cerberus's story, his connection to the Furies, the relentless avenging spirits of the underworld. While Cerberus stands as the fearsome guardian of the gates, the Furies serve as enforcers of divine justice, punishing those who have committed grave sins in life. Together, they form a formidable team, ensuring that the balance and order of the underworld remain intact. The Furies, often depicted as three sisters Alecto, Megara, and Tisiphone, are tasked with pursuing and tormenting those who have wronged others, particularly in cases of familial betrayal or oath-breaking. Their methods are as terrifying as they are effective, driving their targets to madness or despair. In many myths, their presence is a reminder that the underworld is not just a place of rest but also a realm of retribution. Cerberus and the Furies share a symbiotic relationship in maintaining the underworld's order. While Cerberus prevents the living from entering and the dead from escaping, the Furies ensure that the souls within are held accountable for their actions in life. This division of labor highlights the complexity of the underworld's hierarchy, where each being has a specific role to play. Cerberus's role is more about physical deterrence, while the Furies focus on moral and spiritual consequences. Interestingly, their collaboration isn't just about enforcing rules, it's also about maintaining the cosmic balance. In ancient Greek mythology, the underworld wasn't just a place of punishment, it was a reflection of the natural order. Cerberus and the Furies, in their own ways, uphold this order. Cerberus guards the boundary between life and death, while the Furies ensure that justice is served even beyond the grave. This duality underscores the idea that the underworld is a place of both fear and fairness, where every action has its consequence. One of the most compelling aspects of their relationship is how they complement each other's strengths. Cerberus, with his overwhelming physical presence and terrifying bark, instills fear in those who dare to approach the gates. The Furies, on the other hand, operate on a more psychological level, using guilt and remorse as their weapons. Together, they create a system of deterrence and punishment that leaves no room for escape or evasion. This partnership also reflects broader themes in mythology about the interconnectedness of justice and fear. Cerberus and the Furies embody the idea that maintaining order requires both physical and moral enforcement. They remind us that the underworld isn't just a place of darkness, it's a realm where the consequences of one's actions are inescapable. As we delve deeper into the myths of the underworld, it's clear that Cerberus and the Furies are more than just individual figures. They are integral parts of a larger system. Their collaboration ensures that the realm of the dead remains a place of balance where justice is served and boundaries are respected. Next, we'll explore how Cerberus's role and appearance were interpreted in Roman mythology, shedding light on the ways different cultures adapted this iconic figure. But for now, let's reflect on the powerful partnership between Cerberus and the Furies, a duo that embodies the dual forces of fear and justice in the ancient world. Now, let's shift our focus to how Cerberus was perceived in Roman mythology, where this iconic guardian of the underworld took on a slightly different flavor. While the Romans borrowed heavily from Greek mythology, they often adapted these stories to reflect their own cultural values and beliefs. Cerberus, too, underwent some subtle but fascinating changes in his Roman incarnation. In Greek mythology, Cerberus is primarily known as the three-headed hound guarding the gates of the underworld, a fearsome creature born of TYPHON and ECHIDNA. His role is clear: to prevent the living from entering and the dead from escaping. However, in Roman mythology, Cerberus retains this core function but is often portrayed with a more symbolic edge. The Romans, known for their love of order and structure, emphasized Cerberus's role as a keeper of boundaries, not just between life and death but also between chaos and order. One notable difference lies in how Cerberus is described physically. While the Greeks often depicted him with 3 heads, some Roman accounts suggest he might have had as many as 50 or even 100 heads, each more terrifying than the last. This exaggeration reflects the Roman tendency to amplify the grandeur and drama of mythological figures, making them larger-than-life symbols of power and authority. Additionally, Roman art sometimes portrays Cerberus with more serpentine features, such as a tail made entirely of snakes, further emphasizing his monstrous nature. Another key difference is how Cerberus fits into the broader Roman understanding of the underworld. In Greek mythology, the underworld is ruled by Hades, a somewhat distant and enigmatic figure. In Roman mythology, the equivalent ruler is Pluto, who is often depicted as more actively involved in the governance of his realm. This shift in leadership subtly changes Cerberus's role. While he remains a guardian, his loyalty to Pluto is sometimes portrayed as more personal, almost like a trusted servant rather than just a fearsome beast. Roman myths also tend to highlight Cerberus's role in moral lessons. For example, in Virgil's Aeneid, Aeneas encounters Cerberus during his journey to the underworld. Here, Cerberus is not just a physical obstacle but also a symbolic one, representing the challenges one must overcome to achieve greatness. This reflects the Roman emphasis on duty, perseverance, and the rewards of overcoming adversity. Interestingly, the Romans also incorporated Cerberus into their religious practices. While the Greeks saw him primarily as a mythological figure, the Romans sometimes invoked him in rituals related to death and the afterlife. This blending of myth and religion underscores how deeply intertwined Cerberus was with Roman cultural identity. Despite these differences, the core essence of Cerberus remains the same in both Greek and Roman traditions. He is a guardian, a symbol of the boundary between life and death, and a reminder of the consequences that await those who dare to cross it. The Roman adaptations, however, add layers of meaning that reflect their unique worldview, blending the familiar with the new to create a version of Cerberus that is both recognizable and distinctly Roman. As we move forward, we'll explore another intriguing aspect of Cerberus's story, his connection to the hero Theseus and the challenges he faced in one of his legendary labors. But for now, let's appreciate how the Romans took this iconic figure and made him their own, adding depth and nuance to his already rich mythology. Now, let's turn our attention to another legendary hero who dared to face Cerberus Theseus. While Heracles' encounter with the three-headed hound is more widely known, Theseus's attempt to capture Cerberus is equally fascinating and offers a unique perspective on this iconic myth. In this lesser-known tale, Theseus, the Athenian hero, sets out on a quest to prove his strength and courage by capturing Cerberus. Unlike Heracles, who was tasked with this labor as part of his penance, Theseus undertakes the challenge voluntarily, driven by a desire to match the feats of his fellow heroes. This distinction highlights Theseus's ambition and his determination to cement his place among the greatest figures of Greek mythology. The story begins with Theseus descending into the underworld, much like Heracles before him. However, his journey is marked by a different set of challenges. While Heracles relied on his brute strength and divine assistance, Theseus's approach is more strategic. He uses his cunning and resourcefulness to navigate the treacherous realm of the dead, showcasing his intelligence alongside his physical prowess. When Theseus finally confronts Cerberus, the encounter is both thrilling and symbolic. The three-headed hound, as always, represents the ultimate test of a hero's mettle. For Theseus, subduing Cerberus is not just about proving his strength, but also about asserting his dominance over the forces of death and chaos. The battle is fierce, with Cerberus unleashing his full fury, but Theseus manages to overpower him through a combination of skill and determination. Interestingly, this myth draws clear parallels to Heracles' 12th labor. Both heroes face the same formidable opponent, and both succeed in capturing Cerberus, albeit through different means. While Heracles relies on his raw power and the guidance of the gods, Theseus leans on his wit and ingenuity. These contrasting approaches reflect the unique qualities of each hero and offer a richer understanding of what it means to be a true champion in Greek mythology. Another intriguing aspect of this myth is its aftermath. Unlike Heracles, who returns Cerberus to the surface world as proof of his success, Theseus's story takes a darker turn. Some versions of the myth suggest that Theseus's capture of Cerberus angers Hades, leading to dire consequences for the hero. This twist adds a layer of complexity to the tale, reminding us that even the greatest heroes are not immune to the whims of the gods. Ultimately, the myth of Theseus and Cerberus serves as a powerful reminder of the challenges and sacrifices that come with heroism. It also highlights the enduring appeal of Cerberus as a symbol of the ultimate test, a guardian who separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. As we move forward, we'll explore another dimension of Cerberus's story, his close relationship with Hades and how this bond shapes his role in the underworld. But for now, let's reflect on how Theseus's encounter with Cerberus adds yet another layer to the rich tapestry of myths surrounding this legendary creature. Now, let's delve into the fascinating bond between Cerberus and Hades, the god of the underworld. This relationship is central to understanding Cerberus's role not just as a fearsome guardian, but also as a symbol of Hades' authority and dominion over the realm of the dead. Cerberus's connection to Hades goes beyond mere servitude. In many myths, Cerberus is portrayed as a loyal and trusted companion to the god of the underworld, embodying the very essence of Hades's power. As the guardian of the gates, Cerberus ensures that the boundaries between the living and the dead remain intact, a task that reflects Hades's role as the enforcer of cosmic order. This partnership highlights the mutual respect and interdependence between the two, with Cerberus acting as both a protector and a manifestation of Hades's will. One of the most striking aspects of this relationship is how Cerberus's presence amplifies Hades's image as a formidable and unyielding deity. The three-headed hound's terrifying appearance and relentless vigilance serve as a constant reminder of Hades's control over life and death. In this way, Cerberus becomes more than just a guardian. He is a living symbol of the underworld's inescapable nature and the finality of death. Interestingly, Cerberus's loyalty to Hades is unwavering, even in the face of challenges from powerful heroes like Heracles and Theseus. This steadfastness underscores the depth of their bond and reinforces the idea that Cerberus is not merely a beast to be tamed but an extension of Hades's divine authority. When heroes attempt to subdue Cerberus, they are, in essence, challenging Hades himself, making their feats all the more significant. Moreover, Cerberus's role as a symbol of Hades's power extends beyond the underworld. In many myths, the mere mention of Cerberus evokes fear and respect, serving as a reminder of Hades's influence over both mortals and gods. This connection is further emphasized in rituals and ceremonies dedicated to Hades, where Cerberus is often invoked as a representation of the god's might and the inevitability of death. As we explore this intricate relationship, it becomes clear that Cerberus is far more than a monstrous guardian. He is a vital part of Hades's identity, embodying the god's power, authority, and the unbreakable laws of the underworld. Together, they form a partnership that defines the very essence of the afterlife, ensuring that the balance between life and death remains undisturbed. With this understanding of Cerberus's connection to Hades, we can now turn our attention to another intriguing aspect of his mythology, his role in the concept of hellhounds and how he compares to similar creatures in other cultures. But for now, let's reflect on how this bond between Cerberus and Hades adds yet another layer of depth to the myth surrounding this legendary guardian. Now, let's shift our focus to a broader perspective and explore how Cerberus fits into the larger concept of hellhounds across different mythologies. While Cerberus is undoubtedly one of the most iconic guardians of the afterlife, he is far from alone in this role. Many cultures have their own versions of fearsome hounds that guard the realms of the dead, each with unique traits and symbolism. By comparing Cerberus to other mythological hellhounds, we can uncover fascinating similarities and differences that reveal how different societies viewed the boundary between life and death. In Norse mythology, for example, we encounter Garma, a monstrous hound said to guard the gates of Hell, the realm of the dead. Like Cerberus, Garma is a terrifying figure, often depicted with sharp teeth and a menacing presence. However, while Cerberus is primarily a guardian who prevents the living from entering and the dead from escaping, Garma's role is more tied to the apocalyptic events of Ragnarok. During this final battle, Garma is prophesied to break free and fight the gods, symbolizing chaos and destruction. This contrast highlights how Cerberus represents order and control, while Garma embodies the inevitable collapse of that order. Turning to Egyptian mythology, we find Anubis, the jackal-headed god associated with mummification and the afterlife. While Anubis is not a hellhound in the traditional sense, he shares some similarities with Cerberus. Both are closely linked to the journey of the dead, with Anubis guiding souls to the afterlife and weighing their hearts to determine their fate. Unlike Cerberus, who is a fearsome guardian, Anubis is more of a guide and judge, emphasizing the Egyptian belief in a moral afterlife where one's actions in life determine their destiny. This difference reflects the distinct cultural values of the Greeks and Egyptians, with one focusing on the inevitability of death and the other on the ethical consequences of one's life. Another intriguing comparison can be made with the black dog of British folklore, a spectral hound often associated with omens of death. Unlike Cerberus, who is a physical guardian, the black dog is more of a supernatural apparition, appearing to warn or foretell doom. This distinction underscores how different cultures conceptualize the role of these creatures, with some emphasizing their physical presence and others their symbolic significance. Despite these differences, there are shared themes that unite these hellhounds across mythologies. They all serve as guardians or symbols of the afterlife, embodying the fear and mystery surrounding death. Their fearsome appearances and roles as boundary keepers reflect a universal human desire to understand and control the transition from life to death. Whether it's Cerberus at the gates of the underworld, Garma in hell, or Anubis guiding souls, these creatures remind us of the power and inevitability of the unknown. As we reflect on these comparisons, it becomes clear that Cerberus is not just a product of Greek mythology, but part of a larger tapestry of stories about the afterlife. His role as a guardian resonates with similar figures from other cultures, each adding their own unique twist to the concept of hellhounds. This exploration not only deepens our understanding of Cerberus, but also highlights the shared human fascination with the mysteries of life, death, and what lies beyond. With this broader perspective in mind, let's now turn our attention to how Cerberus has been portrayed in modern media, where his legacy continues to evolve and captivate new audiences. Now, let's step into the modern world and see how Cerberus has made his mark beyond ancient mythology. Over the centuries, this iconic three-headed guardian has found new life in literature, movies, and video games, where his fearsome presence continues to captivate audiences. While the core essence of Cerberus remains rooted in his mythological origins, modern interpretations have reimagined him in fascinating ways, blending ancient symbolism with contemporary storytelling. In literature, Cerberus often appears as a symbol of danger or an insurmountable challenge. For instance, in Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series, Cerberus is portrayed as a more playful yet still intimidating figure, guarding the entrance to the underworld. This portrayal adds a layer of humor and relatability, making the ancient myth accessible to younger readers while still honoring its roots. Similarly, in Dante's Inferno, Cerberus is reimagined as a monstrous figure tormenting the gluttonous in hell, reflecting medieval Christian interpretations of the afterlife. These literary adaptations show how Cerberus has been molded to fit different cultural and narrative contexts, yet his role as a guardian of boundaries remains central. When it comes to movies, Cerberus often takes on a more cinematic and visually striking form. In films like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Fluffy, the three-headed dog, is a direct nod to Cerberus, guarding a hidden treasure just as his mythological counterpart guards the underworld. This portrayal captures the essence of Cerberus as a formidable obstacle, while also adding a touch of whimsy to suit the film's tone. Meanwhile, in darker adaptations like Clash of the Titans, Cerberus is depicted as a terrifying beast, emphasizing his role as a fearsome protector of the dead. These cinematic interpretations highlight how modern media balances the ancient myth's intensity with creative storytelling. Video games, on the other hand, have taken Cerberus to new interactive heights. In games like God of War, players face off against a brutal and relentless version of Cerberus, often as a boss battle that tests their skills and determination. This portrayal leans into the creature's monstrous nature, making him a memorable adversary. Similarly, in Hades, the popular indie game, Cerberus is reimagined as a loyal and affectionate companion to the protagonist, Zagreus, while still maintaining his role as the underworld's guardian. This blend of ferocity and loyalty adds depth to his character, showing how modern creators can reinterpret ancient myths in innovative ways. What's fascinating about these modern portrayals is how they reflect our evolving relationship with mythology. While ancient myths often used Cerberus to symbolize the boundary between life and death, modern media uses him to explore themes of challenge, loyalty, and even humor. These adaptations not only keep the myth alive, but also allow new generations to connect with it in ways that resonate with their own experiences. As we've seen, Cerberus's journey from ancient myth to modern media is a testament to his enduring appeal. Whether he's guarding the gates of the underworld, challenging heroes in video games, or adding a touch of magic to movies, Cerberus continues to remind us of the power and mystery of the stories we tell. With this in mind, let's now explore how Cerberus's presence shapes the geography of the underworld itself, and what his placement reveals about his role as a guardian. Now, let's venture deeper into the underworld itself and uncover how Cerberus's placement within this shadowy realm underscores his role as its ultimate guardian. In many myths, Cerberus is stationed at the gates of the underworld, a position that speaks volumes about his importance. These gates are not just a physical barrier, but a symbolic threshold between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. By standing guard here, Cerberus embodies the final line of defense, ensuring that no living soul can enter and no dead soul can escape without permission. This strategic positioning highlights his role as a sentinel of order, maintaining the delicate balance between life and death. But the gates aren't the only significant location tied to Cerberus. In many stories, he is also closely associated with the river Styx, the infamous boundary that souls must cross to enter the underworld. The Styx is more than just a river, it's a powerful symbol of transition and transformation. Cerberus's presence near this watery divide reinforces his role as a gatekeeper, overseeing the passage of souls into the afterlife. Some myths even suggest that Cerberus's ferocious bark echoes across the Styx, a chilling reminder to the living of the finality of death and the consequences of trespassing into the realm of the dead. Interestingly, Cerberus's placement isn't just about physical boundaries, it's also deeply symbolic. By guarding the gates and the river Styx, he represents the ultimate barrier between the known and the unknown, the familiar and the terrifying. His location serves as a constant reminder of the limits of human power and the inevitability of death. In this way, Cerberus isn't just a guardian of the underworld's geography. He's a guardian of the human psyche, embodying our deepest fears and the mysteries that lie beyond life. This connection between Cerberus and the underworld's geography also reflects ancient beliefs about the afterlife. The Greeks and Romans saw the underworld as a structured realm with its own rules and hierarchies. Cerberus's placement at key points of entry and exit underscores his role as a loyal servant of Hades, enforcing the god's authority and maintaining the order of the afterlife. Without Cerberus, the boundaries of the underworld would blur and chaos could ensue. His presence ensures that the dead remain where they belong and that the living respect the sanctity of the afterlife. As we explore these myths, it becomes clear that Cerberus's location within the underworld is no accident. Whether he's stationed at the gates or prowling near the river Styx, his placement is a deliberate reflection of his role as a guardian. It's a reminder that even in the realm of the dead, there are rules to follow and boundaries to respect. And with that in mind, let's turn our attention to another fascinating aspect of Cerberus's role, his involvement in the judgments of the afterlife, where his presence takes on an even deeper significance. Now, let's shift our focus to a lesser-known but equally intriguing aspect of Cerberus's role, his involvement in the judgments of the afterlife. While we often think of Cerberus as a fearsome gatekeeper, some myths suggest he played a more active role in determining the fate of souls. In these stories, Cerberus isn't just a passive guardian. He becomes a judge of sorts, deciding who is worthy to pass into the underworld and who must be turned away. This adds a fascinating layer to his character, transforming him from a mere enforcer of boundaries into a figure with moral authority. In some versions of these myths, Cerberus is said to sniff out the souls of the dead, using his keen senses to detect their intentions and deeds in life. Souls deemed unworthy, those who committed grave sins or lived dishonorably, are met with his ferocious growls and barred from entry. On the other hand, those who led virtuous lives are allowed to pass without hindrance. This idea of Cerberus as a moral arbiter reflects ancient beliefs about justice and the afterlife. It suggests that even in death, one's actions in life have consequences, and the underworld is a place where those consequences are enforced. This concept also ties into the broader theme of divine justice in Greek and Roman mythology. The gods were often seen as upholders of moral order, and Cerberus, as a servant of Hades, embodies this principle. By judging souls, he ensures that the rules of the afterlife are upheld, reinforcing the idea that morality transcends death. This belief would have been deeply comforting to ancient audiences, offering a sense of order and fairness in a world where life could often seem chaotic and unjust. Interestingly, Cerberus's role in these judgments isn't always straightforward. In some myths, he is guided by the instructions of Hades or other deities, acting as an extension of their will. In others, he seems to operate with a degree of autonomy, using his own instincts to determine a soul's worthiness. This duality highlights the complexity of Cerberus's character. He is both a loyal servant and a powerful entity in his own right, capable of making decisions that shape the fate of the dead. The idea of Cerberus as a judge also resonates with the broader symbolism of the underworld as a place of reckoning. In many cultures, the afterlife is seen as a realm where individuals are held accountable for their actions, and Cerberus's role in this process underscores the importance of living a virtuous life. It's a reminder that, in the end, we must all face the consequences of our choices, whether in this world or the next. As we reflect on these myths, it's clear that Cerberus's role in afterlife judgments adds depth to his character and to our understanding of ancient beliefs about morality and justice. He is not just a guardian of physical boundaries, but also a keeper of moral ones, ensuring that the rules of the afterlife are upheld with fairness and precision. And with that thought, let's turn our attention to another fascinating aspect of Cerberus's story: his unwavering loyalty to Hades, a trait that reveals even more about his place in the mythology of the underworld. Now let's delve into one of the most defining traits of Cerberus, his unwavering loyalty to Hades. This loyalty isn't just a simple matter of obedience, it's a profound symbol of duty and devotion that reflects the values of ancient Greek culture. In a world where gods and mortals alike were often driven by ambition, betrayal, or self-interest, Cerberus stands out as a figure of steadfast faithfulness, embodying the ideals of loyalty and service. Cerberus's loyalty to Hades is absolute. As the guardian of the underworld, he carries out his duties with unwavering dedication, never straying from his post or questioning his master's commands. This level of devotion was highly valued in ancient Greek society, where loyalty to one's family, community, and gods was seen as a cornerstone of moral character. Cerberus's role as Hades's faithful servant serves as a reminder of the importance of fulfilling one's obligations, no matter how daunting or unpleasant they may be. This concept of loyalty also ties into the broader theme of hierarchy in Greek mythology. The gods ruled over mortals, and within the divine order, each deity had their own domain and responsibilities. Cerberus, as a subordinate to Hades, exemplifies the idea that even the most powerful beings must adhere to a higher authority. His loyalty reinforces the idea that order and stability depend on individuals accepting their roles and carrying them out with integrity. Interestingly, Cerberus's loyalty isn't portrayed as blind obedience. In some myths, he is shown to act with a degree of autonomy, using his instincts and judgment to carry out his duties. This suggests that true loyalty involves not just following orders, but also understanding and upholding the principles behind them. Cerberus's actions reflect a deep sense of purpose, as if he recognizes the importance of his role in maintaining the balance between life and death. The symbolism of Cerberus's loyalty extends beyond mythology and into the cultural values of ancient Greece. In a society that prized honor and duty, his unwavering commitment to Hades would have been seen as a model of virtuous behavior. It's a reminder that loyalty is not just about allegiance to a person or cause, but also about staying true to one's principles, even in the face of temptation or adversity. As we consider Cerberus's loyalty, it's worth reflecting on how this trait resonates with modern audiences. In a world where loyalty can sometimes feel like a rare commodity, Cerberus serves as a powerful symbol of the strength and integrity that come from staying true to one's commitments. His story reminds us that loyalty is not just a virtue but a source of power, shaping not only our relationships but also our sense of purpose and identity. With this in mind, let's turn our attention to another intriguing aspect of Cerberus's legacy: his influence on language and how his name has come to symbolize strict guardianship in the modern world. Now, shifting our focus to the lasting impact of Cerberus beyond mythology, let's explore how his name has woven itself into the fabric of modern language. The term Cerberus has transcended its ancient roots, becoming a powerful metaphor in contemporary culture. Today, it's often used to describe someone or something that acts as a strict, unyielding guardian, embodying the same vigilance and ferocity as the mythical Hound himself. For instance, in literature and media, characters or entities that serve as formidable protectors or enforcers are sometimes referred to as Cerberus-like. This usage highlights their role as gatekeepers or barriers, much like Cerberus guarding the underworld. A classic example can be found in modern fantasy novels, where a three-headed beast or a relentless sentinel might be named or described in reference to Cerberus, evoking his fearsome reputation. The influence of Cerberus also extends into everyday language. Phrases like "a Cerberus at the gate" or "facing the Cerberus of bureaucracy" are used to describe situations where one encounters a daunting obstacle or a strict authority figure. These metaphors draw on the imagery of Cerberus as an impassable barrier, emphasizing the challenge of overcoming such a figure or system. Even in professional settings, the name Cerberus has found its way into organizational titles and branding. Security firms, for example, might adopt the name to convey strength, reliability, and an unwavering commitment to protection. This modern adaptation reflects how the ancient myth continues to resonate, symbolizing not just fear but also trust in a guardian's ability to keep threats at bay. Interestingly, the metaphorical use of Cerberus isn't limited to physical guardianship. In discussions about technology, particularly cybersecurity, the term is sometimes used to describe systems or software designed to block unauthorized access. These digital Cerberuses serve as modern-day gatekeepers, protecting sensitive information from intruders, much like their mythological counterpart guarded the realm of the dead. This linguistic legacy of Cerberus underscores how deeply embedded he is in our collective imagination. His name has become shorthand for strength, vigilance, and the unyielding nature of a true guardian. It's a testament to the enduring power of mythology to shape not just stories but also the way we think and communicate. As we reflect on Cerberus's influence on language, it's fascinating to see how an ancient myth can evolve into a versatile symbol, adapting to new contexts while retaining its core meaning. This adaptability speaks to the timeless relevance of Cerberus, reminding us that even in the modern world, the stories of the past continue to shape our understanding of the present. With this in mind, let's turn our attention to another captivating aspect of Cerberus's legacy: his role in the archetypal hero's journey and how he represents the ultimate test of courage and determination. Now, let's delve into how Cerberus embodies one of the most enduring storytelling archetypes, the hero's journey. In myths and legends, Cerberus often stands as the ultimate test, a final obstacle that heroes must overcome to achieve their goals. This role aligns perfectly with the archetype of the hero's journey, where the protagonist faces a series of challenges that test their courage, wit, and resolve before reaching their ultimate destination. Take, for example, the myth of Heracles, where capturing Cerberus serves as his 12th and final labor. This task isn't just about physical strength. It's a symbolic trial that represents the hero's ability to confront the unknown and conquer his deepest fears. Heracles' journey into the underworld to face Cerberus mirrors the descent into the abyss, a common motif in the hero's journey where the protagonist must confront darkness or death to emerge transformed. By subduing Cerberus, Heracles proves his worthiness and completes his transformation into a true hero. Similarly, in the story of Orpheus, Cerberus plays a pivotal role as the guardian who must be bypassed to reach Eurydice. Orpheus's ability to charm Cerberus with his music showcases another facet of the hero's journey: the use of creativity and ingenuity to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. While Orpheus ultimately fails to bring Eurydice back, his encounter with Cerberus highlights the importance of perseverance and the emotional stakes involved in the hero's quest. In literature, Cerberus's role as a final obstacle has inspired countless adaptations. For instance, in Dante's Inferno, Cerberus appears as a monstrous figure guarding the gluttonous in the third circle of hell. Here, he symbolizes the consequences of excess and the barriers that must be overcome to achieve spiritual growth. Dante's portrayal of Cerberus reinforces the idea that the hero's journey isn't just about physical trials, but also about confronting inner demons and moral failings. Even in modern storytelling, the archetype of Cerberus as a final challenge persists. In fantasy novels and video games, characters often face a Cerberus-like guardian before reaching their ultimate goal. These guardians are designed to test the hero's readiness, ensuring that only those who have proven themselves worthy can proceed. This recurring motif underscores the timeless appeal of Cerberus as a symbol of the ultimate test, a barrier that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. What makes Cerberus such a compelling figure in the hero's journey is his dual nature. He is both a fearsome adversary and a necessary gatekeeper. His presence forces heroes to confront their limitations and push beyond them, embodying the transformative power of the journey itself. Whether it's through brute strength, clever strategy, or emotional resilience, overcoming Cerberus represents the culmination of the hero's growth and the final step toward achieving their destiny. As we reflect on Cerberus's role in the hero's journey, it's clear that his legacy extends far beyond mythology. He remains a powerful symbol of the challenges we all face in our own quests for growth and fulfillment. With this in mind, let's explore another fascinating aspect of Cerberus's story: his connection to snakes and how these serpentine features add depth to his symbolism as a creature of chaos and danger. Now, shifting our focus to another intriguing aspect of Cerberus, let's explore his connection to snakes and how these serpentine features amplify his symbolism as a creature of chaos and danger. Cerberus isn't just a three-headed hound. His appearance is often described as being intertwined with snakes, whether it's a serpent for a tail or a mane of writhing serpents. These elements aren't just decorative, they carry deep symbolic meaning rooted in ancient mythology. In many cultures, snakes are associated with duality. They can represent both life and death, healing and destruction. For Cerberus, the snakes add an extra layer of menace, emphasizing his role as a guardian of the underworld. The serpent tail, for instance, isn't just a physical feature. It's a reminder of the unpredictability and danger that Cerberus embodies. Snakes are often seen as creatures of transformation, shedding their skin to symbolize rebirth. But in Cerberus's case, they underscore the chaos and fear that come with crossing into the realm of the dead. The mane of snakes, often depicted as hissing and writhing, further enhances Cerberus's terrifying presence. These snakes aren't passive, they're alive, constantly moving and ready to strike. This dynamic element makes Cerberus not just a static guardian but an active force of chaos. The snakes also serve as a visual representation of the underworld's unpredictability, a place where order and logic give way to primal fear and disorder. Interestingly, the connection between Cerberus and snakes also ties him to other mythological figures associated with serpents. For example, the Hydra, another offspring of TYPHON and ECHIDNA, shares this serpentine symbolism. Both creatures embody the untamed, chaotic forces of nature that heroes must confront and overcome. In this way, Cerberus's snakes aren't just a part of his appearance, they're a key aspect of his identity as a symbol of the unknown and the uncontrollable. Even in modern interpretations, the serpentine features of Cerberus continue to resonate. Whether in literature, art, or popular media, the snakes add a layer of complexity to his character, making him more than just a fearsome beast. They remind us that Cerberus isn't just a physical barrier but a psychological one, representing the fears and uncertainties that lie beyond the boundaries of life and death. As we consider Cerberus's connection to snakes, it's clear that these serpentine elements are more than just decorative details, they're integral to his role as a guardian of the underworld. They symbolize the chaos and danger that await those who dare to cross into the realm of the dead, reinforcing Cerberus's status as a figure of both fear and fascination. With this in mind, let's turn our attention to how Cerberus embodies the concept of fear itself, and how his presence continues to evoke primal terror in myths and modern storytelling alike. Now, let's delve into how Cerberus embodies the very essence of fear, a concept that has fascinated humanity for centuries. In ancient myths, Cerberus isn't just a guardian of the underworld, he's a living, breathing manifestation of terror. His 3 heads, serpent tail, and mane of writhing snakes aren't just physical traits. They're designed to strike fear into the hearts of anyone who dares to approach. Imagine standing at the gates of the underworld, faced with a creature whose very presence screams danger. It's no wonder that even the bravest heroes hesitated before confronting him. Cerberus's role as a gatekeeper amplifies this fear. He's not just protecting the underworld, he's enforcing the boundary between life and death, a line that no mortal is meant to cross. This makes him a symbol of the ultimate unknown, what lies beyond death. For the ancient Greeks, this uncertainty was terrifying, and Cerberus became the embodiment of that fear. His growls, his barks, and even the hissing of his snakes were said to be so horrifying that they could drive mortals to madness. This wasn't just physical fear, it was psychological, tapping into the deepest anxieties about mortality and the afterlife. In modern interpretations, Cerberus continues to evoke this primal terror, but with a twist. Today, he often appears in literature, movies, and video games as a representation of the fears we still grapple with: fear of the unknown, fear of death, and even fear of failure. For instance, in many fantasy stories, Cerberus is portrayed as the final obstacle a hero must overcome, symbolizing the internal and external fears they must conquer to achieve their goal. This modern take keeps the ancient symbolism alive while adapting it to resonate with contemporary audiences. What's fascinating is how Cerberus's fear-inducing qualities aren't just about his appearance or his role. It's also about what he represents. He's a reminder that some boundaries are not meant to be crossed, and that venturing into the unknown comes with consequences. This duality, being both a physical and symbolic barrier, makes him a uniquely compelling figure. He's not just a monster, he's a metaphor for the fears that hold us back, whether in ancient myths or in our own lives. As we reflect on Cerberus's role as a symbol of fear, it's clear that his impact goes beyond mythology. He's a timeless figure who continues to captivate and terrify, reminding us of the power fear holds over the human imagination. With this in mind, let's explore how Cerberus's presence extends into ancient rituals, where his fearsome reputation was invoked to protect and warn, adding another layer to his enduring legacy. Now, shifting our focus to the rituals of the ancient world, we find Cerberus playing a surprisingly significant role. While he's often remembered as a fearsome guardian, his presence extended beyond the gates of the underworld and into the sacred practices of the living. In many ancient rituals, particularly those tied to death and the afterlife, Cerberus was invoked as a powerful symbol of protection and warning. His image was used to remind participants of the boundaries between life and death and the consequences of crossing them. One of the most intriguing examples comes from the Eleusinian Mysteries, a secretive religious cult dedicated to Demeter and Persephone. During these rituals, Cerberus was often referenced as a guardian of the sacred knowledge surrounding the afterlife. His presence served as a reminder that the mysteries of death were not to be taken lightly, and that only the initiated could safely navigate the spiritual journey. This connection between Cerberus and the Eleusinian Mysteries highlights how he was seen not just as a physical barrier, but as a spiritual one as well. In other rituals, Cerberus was invoked to protect the living from the spirits of the dead. For instance, during funerary rites, offerings of honey cakes were sometimes made to appease him, ensuring that the deceased could pass safely into the underworld without angering its guardian. These practices reflect the belief that Cerberus wasn't just a passive figure, he was an active force that could be negotiated with, even if only symbolically. The honey cakes, in particular, were thought to calm his ferocity, allowing the dead to proceed without interference. The symbolic significance of these rituals goes even deeper. By invoking Cerberus, the ancient Greeks acknowledged the power of the unknown and the importance of respecting the boundaries between worlds. He wasn't just a monster to be feared, he was a reminder of the natural order, a force that maintained balance between life and death. This duality, being both a protector and a threat, made him a central figure in rituals that sought to navigate the complexities of mortality. As we explore these ancient practices, it's clear that Cerberus's role extended far beyond his duties as a guardian. He was a symbol of the sacred, a figure who embodied the fears and hopes of those grappling with the mysteries of death. His presence in these rituals underscores his enduring significance, not just as a mythological creature, but as a cultural icon that shaped the way the ancient world understood the afterlife. With this in mind, let's turn our attention to Cerberus's place within the hierarchy of the underworld, where his role as a loyal servant of Hades reveals even more about his complex nature. Now, let's take a closer look at Cerberus's position within the intricate hierarchy of the underworld. While he is often seen as a fearsome guardian, his role goes far beyond simply standing at the gates. Cerberus serves directly under Hades, the god of the underworld, and his loyalty to his master is unwavering. This relationship is a key part of what makes Cerberus such a fascinating figure in mythology. He isn't just a mindless beast, he's a trusted servant, carrying out his duties with precision and dedication. Within the underworld's hierarchy, Cerberus holds a unique position of respect. While he is subordinate to Hades, he commands a certain level of authority over other beings in the realm of the dead. Spirits, shades, and even some of the underworld's other guardians recognize his power and tread carefully in his presence. This dynamic reflects the ancient Greek understanding of order and structure. Just as kings and rulers in the mortal world had loyal subjects and enforcers, Hades relied on Cerberus to maintain control over his domain. Cerberus's role as a guardian also highlights the importance of boundaries in ancient Greek thought. His presence at the gates of the underworld isn't just about keeping the dead in and the living out, it's about maintaining the natural order. By serving Hades so faithfully, Cerberus embodies the idea that even the most fearsome forces have their place in the grand scheme of things. This balance between chaos and order is a recurring theme in Greek mythology, and Cerberus is a perfect example of how these two forces can coexist. Interestingly, Cerberus's loyalty to Hades also speaks to the ancient Greeks' views on duty and obedience. In a world where the gods often demanded absolute loyalty, Cerberus's unwavering service to Hades would have been seen as a virtue. His role as a guardian wasn't just about strength or ferocity, It was about fulfilling his purpose with integrity. This idea of duty resonates throughout Greek mythology, where characters are often judged by their ability to uphold their responsibilities, no matter how difficult they may be. As we consider Cerberus's place in the Underworld's hierarchy, it's clear that he is more than just a monster. He is a symbol of order, loyalty, and the delicate balance that holds the cosmos together. His relationship with Hades and his influence over the other beings of the Underworld reveal a deeper layer of meaning in his myth. With this in mind, let's turn to the final myth in our exploration, Cerberus's enduring legacy and how this legendary creature continues to captivate us today. Now, as we reach the final chapter of our journey through the myths of Cerberus, it's time to reflect on the lasting impact this legendary guardian has had on mythology and culture. From ancient Greece to the modern world, Cerberus has remained a powerful symbol, captivating imaginations and inspiring countless stories, artworks, and interpretations. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of myth and the timeless fascination with the unknown. In ancient times, Cerberus was more than just a fearsome guardian. He was a representation of the boundary between life and death, a reminder of the natural order that governed the cosmos. His 3 heads, serpent tail, and imposing presence made him an unforgettable figure in Greek mythology, embodying both chaos and control. But beyond his monstrous appearance, Cerberus also symbolized loyalty, duty, and the importance of maintaining balance. These themes resonated deeply with ancient audiences who saw in him a reflection of their own values and beliefs. As time passed, Cerberus's influence spread far beyond the borders of ancient Greece. Roman mythology adopted him, often portraying him in similar roles but with slight variations that reflected Roman culture. In later centuries, Cerberus found his way into literature, art, and even religious texts, where he was sometimes reimagined as a symbol of evil or temptation. Yet, no matter how he was depicted, the core elements of his myth, his role as a guardian, his connection to the underworld, and his fearsome nature remained central to his identity. In the modern era, Cerberus continues to captivate us, appearing in books, movies, video games, and even popular culture. From Dante's Inferno to contemporary fantasy novels, his image has been reimagined countless times, each iteration adding new layers to his story. In video games, he often appears as a formidable boss or guardian, challenging players to overcome his might. And in movies and television, he is frequently portrayed as a symbol of danger or the unknown, a reminder of the mysteries that lie beyond the veil of death. What is it about Cerberus that keeps us coming back to him? Perhaps it's the combination of fear and fascination that he evokes. As a guardian of the underworld, he represents the ultimate boundary, the line between life and death that none of us can cross. His monstrous form taps into our primal fears, while his loyalty and sense of duty remind us of the values we hold dear. In a world that is constantly changing, Cerberus remains a constant, a figure who embodies the timeless struggle between order and chaos. Cerberus's legacy is a reminder of the power of storytelling. Through myths, we explore the deepest questions of existence, grapple with our fears, and find meaning in the unknown. Cerberus, with his 3 heads and serpent tail, is more than just a creature of legend. He is a symbol of the human experience, a reflection of our hopes, fears, and the mysteries that lie beyond. And as long as we continue to tell stories, Cerberus will remain a part of our collective imagination, guarding the gates of the underworld and inspiring us to explore the boundaries of our own world. With that, we conclude our exploration of the 30 myths surrounding Cerberus, the legendary guardian of the underworld. From his origins to his enduring legacy, we've uncovered the many layers of this fascinating creature. If you've enjoyed this journey through myth and legend, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the world of mythology. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that shape our world. As we wrap up our journey through the 30 myths of Cerberus, let's take a moment to reflect on the incredible depth and complexity of this legendary guardian. From his origins as the offspring of TYPHON and ECHIDNA to his role as the steadfast protector of the underworld, Cerberus has proven to be far more than just a fearsome three-headed hound. He is a symbol of boundaries, a representation of loyalty, and a timeless figure that bridges the gap between life and death. Each myth we've explored, whether it's his encounter with Heracles, his role in the Eleusinian mysteries, or his modern-day appearances in media, reveals a new layer of his significance. Cerberus is not just a creature of myth, he is a mirror reflecting humanity's deepest fears, values, and curiosities about the unknown. His enduring legacy reminds us of the power of storytelling. Myths like these are not just ancient tales, they are windows into the human experience, offering insights into how different cultures have grappled with the mysteries of existence. Cerberus, with his three heads and serpent tail, stands as a testament to the creativity and imagination of those who first told his story. And even today, he continues to inspire, challenge, and captivate us, whether in literature, art, or popular culture. So, what do you think? Does Cerberus represent something more to you? A symbol of protection, a reminder of life's boundaries, or perhaps something entirely different? Let us know in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the myths of Cerberus, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more explorations into the fascinating world of mythology. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep uncovering the stories that shape our world. Who knows what other myths are waiting to be discovered?